It's an inside-out exercise that's really about designing the life, whether personally or organizationally or both, that you want to create.
The essay I read this morning, and I'm a huge Danny Meyer fan. I work in New York City a ton, and whenever he opens up a new thing, it's like, let me go check that out. ABCD, ABCD1, ABCD2, ABCD3, and then you threw a loop at me. You said DCBA. So always be collecting.
Yeah.
Always be communicating. Always be connecting.
Yep.
Walk us through, because one of the things that, one of the 12 skills we teach at Get Momentum is building meaningful relationships.
Yep.
And a lot of people think, oh, Jason, are you teaching networking? And I said, I think this is beyond networking.
Yeah.
I think when people are connected, magic can happen. If I'll take a risk and make awkward eye contact with someone in an elevator, I may have made a new best friend.
Yeah.
I may have creeped somebody out too. So, there's a spectrum right there.
Yeah. Yep.
So what you were just talking about a moment ago, with there's being no one thing,
yep.
I think there's some things we can do that increase the likelihood that this ecosystem supports itself.
Yeah. Yes, there's a lot. Well, what you were reading, I think, is from an essay I wrote about evergreens to evergreens, right? So yeah, that's part of our service training. It's not in any of these books yet, but people can email me if they want it at ari@zingermans.com. I'll send it to them. But so in part 3 of the book, I ended up writing this whole essay on creativity.
Yes.
One of the key elements of creativity, it turns out, is what you just referenced, which is connecting things, ideas, people that aren't typically connected. One of the reasons why hierarchy, which is the opposite of anarchist thinking, doesn't work is because it's the opposite of connecting.
It's actually separating.
It's separating and limiting in the belief that the people at the top are going to filter appropriately, so your boss's boss's boss is going to decide what you should know, and we're going to save you the trouble of having to process all this that you really aren't, ready to handle, because I'm better and I can handle it. This approach is the other way, which is I'm going to give you access to all the information, basically. You're going to filter it. I'm going to encourage you to look at it, because what's going to happen is something that I, as the co-founding partner, don't see anymore, but to you is going to be like, holy cow, look at this. This is fascinating, or we're blowing it on this one by not doing this. So the connections are huge. The ecosystem metaphor, in some ways it came from the 12 natural laws of business. And the thing that sort of resonated with me, I believed it when I wrote that essay, but now, I believe it 100 times more, is just this idea of operating in harmony with nature. So what I would suggest is the industrial model, which is what most of the world is trying to use, at least most of the American world. That's what we've been trained to do. Make it big, extract as much as you can, is the industrial model, whether that's strip mining, whether it's monocropping in agriculture, which is growing 10,000 acres of corn, whether it's the classroom, with 400 kids in the same class, all getting taught the same book on the same day, whether it's a factory, which is what everybody thinks of as industrial, but it's actually the same model, like when you drive by those planted forests and it's all the same tree. It doesn't happen like that in nature. It's unnatural. So this is really about trying to live in harmony with nature. And in this case, it's human nature, not just ecology, but human nature. So what I started to realize, and it's in part 2 of the book, which is the red one, is when you violate nature, trouble comes, right? So on the planet we've created, regardless of people's political views, we're creating this energy crisis on the planet because we've taken out this natural resource and not putting it back. And you don't have to be a math genius. It's going to run out at some point. So with workplaces, we're operating in violation of the natural laws of business. We've created, as a country or worldwide, a comparable energy crisis in the workplace. It's manifested in context of disengagement, apathy. When people are disengaged, apathetic, and don't care about what they're doing, they don't give 100%. And you can read 1,000 studies that all tell you the same thing. It's somewhere between 15 and 30, 35, 40%, right? That means we're paying 100% to get a third of people's natural ability.
Well, then
the
studies I looked at, because we spend a whole month on engaging the people that work around us, engaging up, engaging side, engaging down, whatever the model is.
Right.
But actually, some of the research I found was that there's actively disengaged.
Right.
And
because
that's
they're defending.
what,
Right.
I mean, look, just as a practitioner in this world, that's what freaks me out.
Well, if you're not respected, if you're not honored, if you don't believe in what the work is, if you get treated like an interchangeable machine part, why would you engage?
Right.
You're gonna so anyway, so living in harmony with these natural laws, which I would suggest all successful organizations are already doing, they just don't have a conscious way to explain it or teach it, makes a huge difference. And I think the more we do that, then the ecosystem is healthy. I think creativity, coming back to that, is a natural human state. Every child demonstrates it daily. Society teaches us how to hide from our own creativity. Then we have to relearn it as CEOs.